Welcome to Wise Minds, Wild Hearts, the podcast for heart-led high achievers just like you, ready to take inspired action and achieve true alignment. If you're craving deeper influence, greater impact, and a life that genuinely lights you up, you're in the right place. I'm Kip Clark, former academic turned entrepreneur, transformational coach, elite athlete, and shameless fountain pen addict. Here, you'll learn how to leverage the beautiful wisdom of your years with the wild passion that drives you forward. Together, we'll break through those limiting beliefs, unlock the power of your subconscious mind, and create a life that aligns with your soul's desire. Ready to create the kind of impact you've always dreamed of? Let's do this. Hey there, Wild and Wise crew. I'm curious about something. Have you ever felt like you're stuck on a kind of mental hamster wheel? You're running like crazy, but no matter what you do, you just don't get ahead. Well, that might be a fixed mindset running the show, but don't worry, because today I'm going to smash that old hamster wheel to bits and help set you free. Because today I'm going to dive into something that's actually shaping your life every single day, and that's your mindset, whether it's a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Now, a fixed mindset is sneaky, it's stubborn, and it's probably holding you back much more than you realize. So let me ask you, have you ever caught yourself thinking things like this? I've just never been good at fill in the blank here. I've never been good at math. I've never been good at English. I've never been good at puzzles, etc. Or maybe you've had thoughts like, I just wasn't born to be a leader. Or maybe it's my personal favorite, that's just who I am. So if you've had thoughts like that, guess what? You've got lots of company there. Because fixed mindsets are a kind of universal human experience, but the good news is they're actually not permanent. Even though they're known as fixed mindsets, you can change them. You don't have to allow them to settle in for good. And trust me here, this isn't just a bunch of motivational fluff. It's actually backed by decades of research from some brilliant psychologists like Dr. Carol Dweck, who pioneered the concept of mindsets, and lots of others who've expanded on her work. So by the end of this episode, you'll not only know how to spot a fixed mindset in your own life, but you'll also have the tools to shift it to a growth mindset, one beautiful, powerful step at a time. So let me just paint you a picture here. I want you to meet fixed mindset Franny and growth mindset Georgia. So Franny's the type of person who won't even attempt a new activity unless she knows she'll be good at it. So take yoga, for example. Franny avoids it like the plague because she thinks I'm just not flexible. She doesn't want to look silly, so she never even tries. Now, Georgia, on the other hand, is a hot mess at yoga, pun intended. She signs up for hot yoga, she sweats buckets, she almost face plants in a downward dog. But Georgia has something Franny doesn't. Georgia has a growth mindset, and that allows her to just laugh the experience off, come back the next week, and slowly but surely improve. Yoga becomes her new favorite workout, and not because she's naturally good at it, but because she just stuck with it. Now, let's zoom out for a second, because Franny and Georgia aren't just yoga stereotypes. They're actually examples of how your mindset shapes all your choices. Franny stays safe in her comfort zone. She avoids risk, so she avoids failure. But in doing that, she also avoids growth. But Georgia, she embraces the mess, the sweat, the awkwardness, and in doing that, she discovers strengths and possibilities Franny will never know. So here's where the science comes in. Dr. Dweck has written a book called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, and in it she found that people with a fixed mindset believe their abilities are static. So you're either born with talent or you're not. They think effort is for people who aren't naturally gifted. Meanwhile, people with a growth mindset believe abilities can be developed. So they see failure not as proof they're inadequate, but as a stepping stone to success. And now here's the really big, hairy deal about all this. Your mindset doesn't just affect your hobbies or your recreational interests like yoga. It affects your career. It affects your relationships. It'll affect your health. Research shows clearly people with a growth mindset are more likely to embrace challenges, to persist through setbacks, and ultimately to achieve their goals. So let's take a page out of Georgia's sweaty yoga book and just learn to embrace the mess. Now, let's just pause for a moment and talk about why fixed mindsets are so tempting, because they are. I understand, believe me. They stick around for three big reasons: comfort, control, and, let's be honest here, ego. So first, comfort. Fixed mindsets let you stay in your safe zone. You never have to risk failure because, well, you're not even trying. And let's face it, comfort is addictive. But this is the thing. As cozy as that safe zone feels, it's also where dreams go to die. Dr. Heidi Grant Halverson, who's a social psychologist, she points out that avoiding challenges might save you from short-term discomfort, but they'll actually sabotage your long-term success and fulfillment. Second, control. Fixed mindset gives you a sense of certainty. If you've already decided something's impossible, you never have to deal with the unpredictability of trying. But this is just an illusion. As Dr. Julia Boehm's research has shown, people who fear failure tend to underestimate their potential. In trying to avoid uncertainty, they end up creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of stagnation. And now finally, ego. Oh, how ego loves a fixed mindset. Why? Because it's easier to say, I can't, than to say, I'll try and I might not succeed. A fixed mindset protects your pride, but it also keeps you stuck. And let's be real here. What's worse? Looking a little silly in the short term, or looking back in 10 years and realize you missed out on your potential? The truth is, even the most growth-minded people have fixed Franny moments. I'll admit it, I've had plenty of them myself, and even in spite of doing over 30 years of self-work, they still pop up for me from time to time. But the key is learning to catch myself in the act, and you can do that too. Ask yourself, what's one thing you've avoided because you were afraid to fail? Go ahead, cringe for a second, I'll wait. Okay, let's talk about how to change that. How do you actually shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? Well, the first step, we reframe failure. So instead of seeing failure as proof you're not good enough, see it as data. It's just feedback. I've talked about this before. Every mistake is a lesson for you. And let's be real, most of the time it's kind of hilarious in hindsight. Dr. Dweck's studies show that people who view failure as an opportunity to learn actually outperform those who fear it. Why? Because they're willing to take risks, to experiment, and to adapt. Whenever we're seeing failure as a problem, it's because we're allowing our past identity to define our present identity. We're saying that our past experiences define who we are today. But that's actually backwards, because the reality is you have the ability in every moment to switch that destructive pattern around. You can let your present self redefine your past self's experiences in a way that allows you to see how those stumbles or failures were actually gifts for you. Look for all the ways you've grown and learned and adapted and transformed over the past 30 years or the past 10 years, the past 3 years, this past year, 2024, or even the last 3 months, the last month, last week even. I'll go so far as to say you're not the same person you were yesterday, not exactly. You've had some kind of experience in the past 24 hours that has shifted something, however slightly, so that now, today, you see things a little differently. Maybe it was something you saw on the news, maybe it was a conversation you had, but whatever the source, it's changed how you view something in your life. And this is happening all the time. It's just we don't stop to acknowledge and appreciate all the growth we've already had. Instead, we're always measuring our growth against an idealized future self and finding ourselves falling short. Cue the criticism. Okay, step 2, celebrate your progress. So growth mindsets thrive on effort, not just results. So did you stumble through a presentation but learn something valuable for the next time? I certainly have. That's a win. Behavioral psychologists like Dr. B.F. Skinner found that positive reinforcement, rewarding the process rather than just the outcome, that builds long-term motivation. So celebrate every step, no matter how small. And one of the easiest ways of doing this is to ask yourself at the end of each day, what was great about today? Now, notice I didn't say you should ask yourself, how did today go? Because for too many people, that's just an invitation to highlight all the things that didn't go as you expected or wanted. When you ask instead, what was great about my day? You're automatically priming yourself to look for the positives, to look for the growth. That has an enormously positive knock-on effect that builds self-esteem and self-efficacy and confidence. Step 3, surround yourself with growth-minded people. So if you're constantly hanging out with those fixed mindset frannies, their fixedness will rub off on you. So find your Georges, the people who inspire you to try, to stumble, to fail, and to try again. Studies on social contagion show that we absorb the behaviors and beliefs of those around us. So choose your circle wisely, dear one. Step 4, add one little word to your vocabulary, yet. So instead of saying, I can't, say, I can't yet. Or instead of saying, I don't know how, you can say, I don't know how yet. That one little word flips the script from limitation to possibility and curiosity. And finally, step 5, embrace that curiosity. Instead of focusing on whether you're good at something, focus on what you can learn from it. Dr. Angela Duckworth, who studies grit and perseverance, emphasizes that curiosity is a key driver of long-term success. If you're curious, you're unstoppable. So here's the big takeaway. Your mindset isn't set in stone. It's a choice. Every day, in every moment, you have the opportunity to shift the dial from fixed to growth. And it's not about perfection here, it's about progress. So this week, I challenge you to take one small growth-oriented action. Try something new, take a risk. And when fixed mindset Franny whispers, don't do it. Just channel your inner Georgia and say, hey there, Franny, just watch me. And you know, if you fail spectacularly, I want to hear about it. Send me your most epic flop stories. I've had so many of them, you wouldn't believe it. Plus, remember, it's not a failure if you learn something from it. So keep that in mind and help develop your beautiful growth mindset. See you next time, my friend. All right, my friends, that's it for this episode. If this has been helpful to you, let me know. I love to hear about all the positive changes you're making in your life. And if there's someone you know who might benefit from hearing this message, please share the love, my friend. See you next time on Wise Minds, Wild Hearts.